Just because you're getting older doesn't mean your memory will have to get worse, but ignoring your brain health can lead you into a future that you might not remember.
That's funny, kinda. Our brains, much like the rest of our bodies, really require care and attention to stay sharp and efficient, especially as we're getting older.
If we don't actively nurture our cognitive health now, we risk losing the very essence of what makes our life and our stories rich and meaningful.
What we want you to think about today is think about your brain as a muscle that needs exercise, good nutrition, and the right amount of rest.
Understanding you can accomplish what Mark just said will make a difference in your ability to remember parts of your life and maintain your quality of life.
And you might be thinking, isn't it just normal to become more forgetful as you age? Well, partly so, but everyone does suffer from memory problems, even students. There's so many professors that will tell you that students show up for a test. They're supposed to bring their number 2 pencil and they don't because they forgot. But they forgot probably because they might have been out late, they didn't get good sleep, they woke up late, so they got to school and they weren't really prepared. For people our age, it's a different problem.
Right. People our age don't necessarily forget. It just takes longer to recall. And, we just have a lot of files in our head. It gets harder and harder to pull the right one out.
So part of it is learning to be a little patient with yourself, not overly stressing about this. But I think this video is really going to help bring some clarity to this idea about brain health. Now, if you're new here, I'm Mark, and this is my wife, Jody.
And we don't focus on the financial aspects of retirement, but rather your lifestyle, your health, your relationships, and more.
So do us a huge favor so that we can spread the word on what we're talking about. Share this video with some of your friends, people that are in the same stage of life as you and you think would benefit from what we're talking about today, and someone that you really care about. That would really help us a lot, and it would help spread the word.
Absolutely.
We've got a link below to a download about downsizing. And you might wonder, what does downsizing have to do with brain health? Well, one of the things about downsizing and decluttering is it does free up some space in your head. So if you're thinking about downsizing and it's creating some anxiety for you, this download really will be helpful for you to take a look at. So please download it and give it a shot.
All right, so let's jump into it. The first, we're going to go through 4 warning signs that may indicate your memory is actually getting worse. Then we're going to give you some tips on better brain health. You ready? The first warning sign is frequent forgetfulness. Regularly forgetting recently learned information, important dates, events, or repeatedly asking for the same information over and over and over can be a sign of memory decline, especially concerning if you're relying heavily on memory aids like reminder notes or electronic devices or even family members that actually used to handle, when you handled things on your own, now you're asking them to do it. I think Google has kind of made us all forget a lot. Because if you don't know it, you just Google it.
Well,
you don't push your brain to find it.
The thing I want to balance this with is, again, this is a warning sign, but if it happens to all of us all the time, I think of something, I head to the kitchen to get what it is I was looking for. I get to the kitchen and I realize, why am I here? And I think that's normal because, again, like Jody said earlier, we have a lot of files in our head. So while that might be a little bit of a warning sign, it happens to all of us, and I don't think you should get overly anxious about that. But
it's definitely
if it happens,
concern.
it's a concern.
Yeah.
So.
I'll say to you oftentimes, like, I can't be your brain too.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to say that. You just like to say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Another warning sign is having difficulty completing familiar tasks. And, like driving a car, if that becomes a little overwhelming for you and you're not sure how to start it. And I'll tell you that we have 2 cars and they run completely different. I have, to get it into drive, mine is push buttons, yours is a stick. I do, when I get into a car, mine or yours, have to kind of, whose car am I in? How does this work? But I think that if you're struggling with remembering the rules of your favorite game, or how to get or drive to a familiar location that you've driven to 1,000 times could be a red flag you want to pay attention to.
Absolutely. The third warning sign would be trouble with language or visual images. Experiencing difficulty following or joining conversations, or struggling to come up with the right word. I know that happens to me once in a while. This would be one of the warning signs that I kind of worry about. Having trouble naming familiar objects or having memory issues, like what was her name or what was his name, and then some vision problems, difficulty reading or judging distance or determining colors or contrast. Anything that you noticed in this language or visual image would fall in the bucket of a warning sign.
Right. Another warning sign, the fourth warning sign, is disorientation in time or place. Losing track of dates, seasons, the passage of time, what time of day it is, forgetting where you are and how you got there. These are also symptomatic of worsening memory problems, and you just want to be aware of it. It's important to note that these are warning signs, and they can indicate a decline in memory, but they also can be caused by other factors such as stress, depression, or even normal aging.
If these signs are new or persistent and affect your daily life, it's advisable to consult a healthcare professional and get a thorough evaluation for sure. Right. So let's go into 7 tips to improve memory and brain health. The first, it seems like it's the first in a lot of our videos, but the first is to engage in regular physical exercise. Physical activity will boost your brain function and protects your memory. That is a fact. Increased blood flow to the brain brings more oxygen, enhances neuroplasticity for better learning and memory. It reduces your risk of disorders that lead to memory loss and improves your mood, your sleep, and other vital areas of your memory. So aerobic exercise, walking, swimming, cycling, all of those are very beneficial.
The thing about exercise is, and we do mention it a lot in our videos, and the reason we mention a lot in our videos is because it's like the number one thing.
Yeah, in every
So if you're not exercising, you really need to figure that out.
And number 2 is also something we talk about a lot.
A healthy, balanced diet.
Yeah.
You cannot continue to eat the way you used to eat. You and I would have no problem taking the kids out to the steak restaurant, having steak and onion rings and garlic bread and stuffed baked potatoes. That's not healthy. It doesn't work. We're eating a lot more fish to support brain health. Berries and leafy greens with antioxidants in it really help a lot. Whole grains, moderate caffeine, and hydration. Yeah. It really is really important.
The third would be keeping mentally active. Mental exercises that keep your brain engaged and strengthen your memory. I know I do a lot of this. And
you do Wordle.
You kind of laugh at me, but I've got my Wordle and I do connections and I do spelling bees. But learning new skills or hobbies, playing brain games, enhancing your problem-solving skills, really that's activating your brain muscle. Playing a musical instrument is something else that would be really great, which I don't do, but that is linked to cognitive.
I'm thinking of taking up the violin.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm thinking you're going to move out.
Okay, good.
No.
One of the things that I recently became interested in, and I hadn't been for a very long time, is what? Can you think of it? With other people?
Bird watching?
No. To keep my brain active. 1, 2, 3, tick-tock. Playing cards.
Okay, you played 2 games of cards.
That's 2 games of cards, but I loved it and I can't wait to do it again.
Okie dokie.
10s, 7s.
I'm going to make sure the kids watch this video.
Okay.
Because they're all coming to visit and you say no to every game they ever ask you.
I say no to games, but I'm falling in love with playing cards with another couple. How about
all right.
that? So the other thing you can do, the fourth thing of the 7, is foster social connections. We talk about this a lot. We don't even need to say we talk about it a lot. It is so important for brain health to get out of your house, get out in front of, from behind the TV or in front of the TV, and talk to people, ask questions, have conversations, volunteer and engage with groups of people you haven't met before. Get involved with community events to keep you connected. Sharing stories and experiences with others really is going to help you with your memory retention.
Absolutely. That's a great one. The 5th one is prioritize your quality sleep. Notice I didn't say prioritize sleep. Prioritize your quality of sleep. Notice I didn't say prioritize the amount of time you're in bed. It's the quality of your sleep. Adequate sleep is essential for memory consolidation. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep for optimal brain function. Establish a regular sleep schedule, which you're really good at, which has forced me to be better at, but you're really good at it. And avoid your screens before bed because blue lights can disrupt sleep patterns. Sleep, sleep, sleep is very important.
When I was in college, I could go to bed at midnight and sleep till noon.
Really?
Couldn't you?
No, I never slept till noon.
Now I go to bed at 9.
Didn't you work?
In college
Yeah.
on Saturdays? No.
Oh.
Well, sometimes, but
Didn't you play sports?
No.
No.
Me?
True.
I don't know the difference between a football, a basketball, and a baseball.
That's not true.
It's an exaggeration, but no, I didn't play sports.
Okay.
All right. Managing stress is going to help with your brain health. Got to find a way to unstress your life.
Unstress or de-stress?
De-stress your life. Thank you for that clarification on my poor English. Because that's going to help you with your brain health.
Absolutely.
Meditation can help. Yoga can help. Deep breathing exercises can help. Spending time on hobbies. Really maintaining a positive outlook on life is going to help reduce your stress, which makes your brain health better.
Absolutely. And the last one, the 7th one, is regular health checkups. Monitoring your health can preempt any issues, including your brain function issues. Regular checkups help manage chronic conditions like diabetes or blood pressure or cholesterol. And also discussing your memory concerns with a doctor can lead to some early intervention. So regular checkups.
You know, in my annual physical last year, I was 65, 2 years ago, 65. They now ask a lot of memory questions. You're not 65 yet.
I'm not even 60 yet.
You're just a baby.
Just
So
a
I think
puppy.
that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's always a good practice to talk to your doctor, friends, and family about your memory and see how they perceive you and if you have a problem.
And if you have a problem and it could be serious, go see a specialist. Now, we hope you like this video. This next one, myths about memory loss as you age. You're going to love this because it really talks a lot about the difference between short and long-term memory and why older people struggle more with memory than others. And it's also more tips to keep your mind active. So watch this one next.